Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Russell Hancock. I have the privilege of serving as the president and CEO of Joint Venture Silicon Valley, and I stand in that capacity to welcome you to the 18th Annual State of the Valley Conference. We hope you'll come in quickly and take your places. I'm greeting not only the people in the room, but I'm also greeting a streaming audience that is joining us, a streaming audience of many hundred. And we're grateful to all of you, whether you're here in person or you're joining us on your devices. We welcome you to Stanford University. And here to welcome us to Stanford is the president of the university, Marc Tessier-Lavigne.
Good morning. I'm Stanford President Marc Tessier-Lavigne. I'm delighted to welcome all of you to the 18th Annual State of the Valley Conference. We at Stanford are honored to co-present this year's events. I want to thank Joint Venture Silicon Valley for bringing us together today. And I want to thank Stanford's Office of Community Engagement for leading our efforts to engage with regional partners through events like this one. Each year, the State of the Valley Conference brings together citizens, policymakers, business leaders, academics, and more to reflect on the challenges and opportunities we face together in our region. Joint Venture Silicon Valley will also release the findings of its annual Silicon Valley Index, an analysis of the state of our region today. Joint Venture's approach of marrying research with application really resonates here at Stanford. We appreciate the knowledge-intensive, data-driven methods they bring to bear and the honest inquiry and commitment to facts that the State of the Valley Index represents. The index reveals many of the things that make our region extraordinary, from incredible innovation and entrepreneurship to arts and culture, as well as some of our region's clear challenges like income and housing disparities and growing climate pressures. Silicon Valley is a remarkable place, one that's changed the world as we know it time and again. But events and trends of recent years, from the pandemic to the movement for racial justice to widening inequality, have further underscored our need to better understand the complex dynamics at play in our region and beyond. For Stanford and other institutions of higher education, this has also meant leaning into our role to help solve the challenges we face. At Stanford, we've rolled out a vision for the future of the university with the goal of amplifying our impact so that we can make bold contributions and do our part to address the great challenges we face around the world and also here at home. The Stanford vision is divided into 4 areas where we have the opportunity to truly make a difference. The first theme is preparing citizens, which is focused on educating students not only for success, but also offering them the skills and knowledge they need to promote the public welfare and live lives of active citizenship. Next are 2 research themes, catalyzing discovery, which is our commitment to advancing fundamental knowledge about ourselves and the world around us, and accelerating solutions, our approach to applying knowledge to tackle urgent problems facing the world. And last, sustaining life on Earth, which focuses on ensuring a healthy and sustainable planet for decades to come. Finally, woven through each of the 4 themes of the vision are our efforts to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are committed to supporting scholarship that fosters a more just society, while at the same time shining a spotlight on Stanford itself to ensure we continue to make progress on diversity and inclusion within our own community. Taken together, the 4 themes form a bold vision. If we're successful, we hope to create a new model for how research universities meet challenges head-on. And through our vision, we're focused on creating solutions that we can apply right here in Silicon Valley. The past 2 years of the pandemic have made it absolutely clear how interconnected all of us are who live and work in this region. We all rely on the commitment and sacrifice of frontline workers who are members of our own communities, including healthcare workers at Stanford and other area hospitals. We depend on our local businesses and the essential workers who have helped meet our daily needs during the pandemic. And we've all had the opportunity to connect with and take solace in the natural beauty of the Bay Area. We have and continue to face COVID together, and now we must work together to tackle the other challenges we face. Our Office of Community Engagement is coordinating our efforts to do just that. This new office works to deepen relationships with the communities we touch and partners with organizations like Joint Venture Silicon Valley to accelerate solutions to shared challenges in equity, education, health, and sustainability. You can learn more and stay in touch by visiting community.stanford.edu. Silicon Valley is where Stanford was founded, and Stanford helped found Silicon Valley. This is where we live, and we're committed to tackling our shared challenges together. I'm grateful to have all of you as partners in that work. Thank you once again for joining us this morning and for your commitment to our region and its future.
Thank you, President Tessier-Lavigne. I want to say to the President and to the Stanford community how grateful we feel to be on this magnificent campus, to be emanating this broadcast from this campus. And we're grateful for the hospitality that they're extending us, and we're grateful to their extensive team of professionals who have worked so hard in partnership with Joint Venture to make today's event a reality. Now, to welcome us to the 18th Annual State of the Valley Conference, I would like to bring to the stage the two co-chairs of Joint Venture. Joint Venture always has two co-chairs. They come from differing sectors. So our co-chairs are Nicole Taylor, the President and CEO of Silicon Valley Community Foundation, and Dave Wehner. Yes, Dave Wehner. From the company formerly known as Facebook, now known as Meta. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks, Russ. It's great to be here, and thank you to President Tessier-Lavigne and Stanford for hosting us, and I think it's appropriate that we're in a building named after John Arrillaga, who's been, I think, a good model citizen in this area in terms of really giving back to the community. So and we lost him this year, and so knowing John personally, it's kind of neat and meaningful to be here for that reason. Also welcoming all of you, but also all of those who are joining us via streaming. We're still doing a lot of streaming, so it's good to be able to have a combined event. This is the first event I've spoken at in person in like 2 years, so I'll be a little rusty on that. I am the Chief Financial Officer of Meta. For those of you who have not been following, it is the company that was formerly known as Facebook, and our products include Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook Reality Labs, Oculus, and other great products. We've made our home here in Silicon Valley since almost the inception of the company, and it's been an incredibly important part of growing Meta to be a part of this community. And so it's important for us to, I think, participate in organizations like Joint Venture to help give back to the community. So we're excited to be a part of this and excited to be the sponsor for this event. We share, like Joint Venture, a commitment to this community, and we try and do as much as we can to be helpful. So we set up a $1 billion fund for housing, of which the bulk of it is going to California and to the Bay Area. We've already deployed about $150 million and helped create over 1,000 homes throughout the local counties. So we're really proud of that effort. In addition, with COVID, we've tried to be engaged, and we had a testing center on our campus. We've provided tests for over 8,000 community members. We've deployed over $150 million in food assistance during this period in the last year, and continue to try and be a good corporate citizen and do as much as we can. And the work that Joint Venture does is essential to that. I wanted to welcome you to this conference as in my role as the co-chair, and also with my colleague and friend Nicole. Before turning it over to Nicole, I wanted to give you a little bit of background on Joint Venture for those of you who have not come to one of these events before or are not as familiar with Joint Venture. As Russ said, it was founded 18 years ago in 1993. The idea then was to bring Silicon Valley leaders together, and it was really focused on combining leaders of the businesses that helped make Silicon Valley famous with local government leaders so that we weren't always at odds. They called it Joint Venture because we thought we could create partnership and teams to make an effort more successful across business and government. And it actually proved to be so successful that we've expanded that effort. So we had early successes in things like uniform building codes, online permitting, pushing the internet further and further and deeper into schools and local government. But we realized that we needed to broaden the coalition, and invite others to participate. So in addition to businesses and government, the joint venture board now includes labor leaders, college and university leaders like Marc, foundation chiefs like my co-chair Nicole, and community-based nonprofit organizations. And the organization works by creating teams that cut across all of these sectors, studying problems, and then launching and sponsoring initiatives to tackle those problems. And we'll hear about some of those today. We think it's a powerful model because it mimics how Silicon Valley itself works, a collaborative environment where companies are working together to solve big, important problems. So that is how we are approaching it, and wanted to talk quickly about some of the projects that we're working on. The key projects that joint venture is currently focused on, tackling equity and inclusion. That's an important theme in the Valley, which does so well for so many people, but we will have to make sure that others aren't left behind. Building back better after the pandemic. It's going to change how business operates. It's going to change how the community operates as well, and we need to make sure that we can build our community back even stronger after the pandemic. Capturing food surplus so it can be redistributed. Accelerating our state's response to climate change. Improving our transportation infrastructure, which was a notable problem pre-pandemic and will be increasingly a problem after the pandemic, and then beefing up our wireless communications infrastructure and much more. So that's a quick description of the key initiatives that we're working on, and of course you can learn more on our website. We think that Silicon Valley needs this organization now more than ever, and again, very excited to be a part of the initiative that we're doing. And we need and invite the collaboration of everyone in this room. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nicole, who's going to talk about today.
Thank you, Dave, and good morning, everyone. I want to echo Dave's thank yous to especially everybody here at Stanford, my alma mater, so I'm a little biased. But no, thank you, Stanford, for hosting us here today. And thanks to everybody who's out there watching us on their devices. As Dave said, I'm Nicole Taylor, and I have the honor of leading the nation's largest community foundation, the Silicon Valley Community Foundation, as its president and CEO. And I'm also delighted to serve as a co-chair with Dave of Joint Venture Silicon Valley. This has been an important couple years for our region, so to be part of this collaborative venture, as Dave described it, has been really incredible. And we can't forget about its research arm, which really was the driver behind putting together the index, the Institute for Regional Studies. I want to tell you about today's gathering. The State of the Valley Conference, as we heard President Tessier-Lavigne said, this is its 18th time that this conference has happened. It's been going since 2005, which is pretty incredible. Russ likes to describe it as an old-fashioned town meeting where everybody gathers in the town square, they stop what they're doing to hear what's really going on and talk about the big picture of the town, in our case, the Valley. I especially appreciate this gathering because we don't gloss over anything. We'll talk about what's going well, of course, but we'll spend just as much time talking about our problems and our challenges, even if those things are hard. Now, because we're Silicon Valley, we also talk about things in the Silicon Valley way, which is to say, data, right? That is the very first thing that will happen today when Russ comes up, is a thorough briefing on the 2022 Silicon Valley Index. The Community Foundation has been proud to sponsor the index since 2008 because we know that compiling and assembling and analyzing the data is critical to the growth and the success of this region. And I want to tell you one other thing about the index. It has been published for 28 years. So this is a critical report that so many of us rely on each year. And every year, it's reported on inequities and the stratification of our region. But this year, through a special partnership with the Community Foundation, the research team made a deeply concerted effort to magnify the equity lens, digging deeper into the data, looking at additional data sources to uncover the issues, and bringing them into sharper relief. And we're incredibly proud to have partnered and be part of this. The Community Foundation is also proud to be joining forces with Joint Venture and Stanford University to lead Equity Forward, a bold cross-sector initiative that addresses the very issues covered in the index and the unacceptable racial wealth gap that exists in our region. Through Equity Forward, we envision a Silicon Valley where housing is affordable for everyone, where every employee is paid a thriving wage, and where every person has the economic mobility to grow and succeed. We're planning to publicly launch Equity Forward later this year, and I hope you will stay tuned to hear more about the initiative. But back to the index. Briefing will begin momentarily with Russ, and then once we're all briefed, we'll spend the rest of our time talking about what it all means. And we have some incredible people that we're going to hear from today to talk about exactly what it means and what we should be doing. The data and the analysis and the talks are the reasons why we gather today, but they're not the only reasons. State of the Valley is also meant to be a celebration for our region. And for those of you who've been here in the past, it's a day where we celebrate the food we eat, the arts that we create, the innovation that's happening, the amazing work of our nonprofits. And we typically take time in those break sessions that we used to have to socialize and meet new people. Unfortunately, the ongoing pandemic, soon to be endemic, has made all of those things difficult and impossible. So this year's conference is the shortest in its history, a mere 3 hours. It is the shortest one in our history. We made a decision to do a truncated hybrid event because we trust our public health authorities, and we recognize the fatigue from streaming and being in online meetings, and that fatigue is real. So short and sweet felt like the right thing for 2022. But even though the conference is abbreviated, we've still allotted time for music, dance, and poetry. And we hope everybody, both here in this room and online, will enjoy this. Now it's time to get started with the first session on the Silicon Valley Index. The session is brought to us through a special partnership with Stanford Children's Health. We want to thank Paul King and the team at Children's Health for their support. And I want to thank again my co-chair Dave. Thank you to Stanford. Thanks to all of the sponsors for today's event. And thank you all for coming together in the spirit of community. Russ, over to you.